The silver disk of the Xylorian science vessel Celestial Observer slowed as it reached the edge of the solar system. On the main observation deck, Dr. Vorx watched the small blue planet appear on the central screen. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of excitement among his kind. After traveling for nearly 3 cycles, they had finally arrived at their destination, Earth. Preliminary scans show an oxygen-nitrogen atmosphere, said Alara, his young assistant. Her skin shimmered with a faint purple glow as she worked the sensor controls. Water covers most of the surface. Temperature ranges are within habitable. Parameters. Dr. Vorax nodded, his long fingers moving across the data panel. Begin passive monitoring. Remember, we observe only. No direct contact with the native life forms. Captain Nix entered the deck, her tall frame commanding immediate attention. Have you established the observation protocols, Doctor? Yes, Captain. We will maintain orbit behind the planet's natural satellite. Our cloaking systems will prevent detection by any primitive scanning technology this world might possess. The captain seemed satisfied with this answer. The High Council expects a full report on this expedition. They believe this planet might help us understand the development of early civilizations. If there are any civilizations to study, Doctor, Vorax replied. Our long-range scans showed only basic biological activity. We may find nothing more advanced than simple organisms. Ilara suddenly called out from her station. Doctor, I'm detecting unusual energy patterns coming from the planet's surface. Dr. Vorax moved quickly to her side. The readings were indeed strange, fluctuating power signatures that seemed too regular to be natural. Magnify Sector 4. He ordered. The screen zoomed in on a continental mass. Tiny lights dotted the coastlines and spread inland. Artificial illumination? Captain Nix asked, her voice carrying a note of surprise. It appears so, Dr. Vorax confirmed. And look at this. He pointed to several small objects moving in the planet's orbit. Artificial satellites? Crude, but definitely constructed. The captain's expression hardened. You said we would find only simple life forms. That was our assessment based on long-range data, Dr. Vorax explained. It seems we may have underestimated this world. Over the next few days, the Xylorian team collected more information. They watched metal vehicles moving across the land and water. They intercepted simple radio transmissions and visual broadcasts. They observed structures that could only be cities. They call themselves humans, Ilara reported after analyzing the communications, and they call their planet Earth. Dr. Vorax found himself growing more fascinated by the hour. They've achieved industrialization, basic flight, and primitive space travel, yet their development is strangely uneven. What do you mean? Asked Captain Nix. Look here, Dr. Vorax brought up a series of images. Some regions have advanced technology while others remain quite primitive. Some humans travel in supersonic aircraft while others still use animal-drawn carts. It's as if their entire species is developing at different rates simultaneously. Captain Nix considered this. Perhaps it's a natural part of their evolution. Not all Xylorian provinces developed at the same rate either. True, but not with such extreme differences, Dr. Vorax countered. And there's something else. He displayed another set of readings. Their rate of technological advancement over the last century has been extraordinary. They've moved from basic machinery to rudimentary computers in a fraction of the time it took our ancestors. Ilara spoke up from her station. Doctor, I've detected something unusual on the dark side of their moon. It looks like an artificial structure. The screen showed a small base with a flag planted beside it. Dr. Vorax and Captain Nix exchanged looks of surprise. They've reached their moon already? The captain asked. It appears so, Dr. Vorax replied, though they don't seem to have established a permanent presence there. This looks like an exploratory mission. Captain Nix turned to her navigation officer. Set course for the far side of their moon. We'll establish our observation post there, away from their landing sites. As the celestial observer moved toward the moon, Dr. Vorax retreated to his private laboratory. The humans were proving far more interesting than expected. He instructed the ship's computer to gather all available information about their history and development. The results were puzzling. According to the intercepted data, humans had existed in roughly their current form for thousands of years, yet their most significant technological advances had occurred only in the last few centuries. They had moved from simple agricultural societies to sending objects beyond their own solar system in less time than it took most species to develop basic writing systems. What makes them different? He wondered aloud. What drives such rapid change? The celestial observer settled into position on the far side of the moon, hidden from Earth's view. The crew established a small base on the surface, carefully disguised to avoid detection by any passing human spacecraft. From this vantage point, they deployed specialized drones designed to look like local birds and insects. These tiny observers recorded human behavior in different settings across the planet. In the main viewing chamber, Dr. Vorax and his team watched the incoming footage with growing fascination. They saw humans building enormous structures, creating complex machines, and communicating through worldwide networks. They also saw them fighting wars, damaging their environment, and struggling with poverty and disease. They're so contradictory, Ilara noted, capable of both remarkable achievements and terrible destruction. And look at how they interact, added Dr. Vorax. Their social structures are incredibly complex. They form bonds based not just on biological relationships but on abstract concepts like friendship and loyalty. Captain Nix joined them, her expression troubled. The High Council will want to know if they pose any threat to Xylorian interests. It's too early to make that assessment, Dr. Vorax replied. They're confined to their own system for now. Their most advanced propulsion systems are primitive by our standards. But their rate of development concerns me, the captain insisted. If they continue to advance at this pace, how long before they develop interstellar travel? How long before they find us? Dr. Vorax had no answer for that. Instead, he focused on a new set of readings coming from one of their monitoring drones. That's strange, he murmured. What is it? Ilara asked. This drone was monitoring a research facility in a place the humans call Nevada. They appear to be experimenting with principles similar to our quantum communication technology. Captain Nix leaned forward. That's impossible. Such technology should be centuries beyond their capability. And yet the readings suggest they're on the right track, Dr. Vorax said. It's as if they're making intuitive leaps without going through all the intermediate steps our scientists required. Ilara suddenly called their attention to another screen. We have a problem. One of our drones has been spotted. The footage showed a human male staring directly at the camouflaged drone. He wore a uniform and stood outside a building with large dish antennas pointed at the sky. Is our disguise failing? Captain Nix demanded. No, Ilara replied. But this facility appears to have detection equipment more sensitive than we anticipated. The human seems aware that something unusual is present. Dr. Vorax watched as the human began speaking into a handheld device, clearly reporting what he had seen. Pull the drone back immediately, ordered Captain Nix. We cannot risk direct contact at this stage. As the drone retreated, Dr. Vorax felt a mixture of concern and excitement. The humans were more observant and more advanced than they had expected. This mission was becoming more complex and more interesting by the moment. Back in his laboratory, Dr. Vorax reviewed all the data they had collected. There was something about these humans, something that set them apart from other developing species the Xylorians had studied before. He couldn't quite identify what it was, but he was determined to find out. What secrets do you hold? He whispered to the image of Earth rotating on his screen. And what will happen when we discover them? The morning sun shone through the windows of the Pine Creek Observatory as Susan Wright adjusted her telescope. For 3 years, she had worked at this small university facility mapping distant stars. Today was different. Today she was looking much closer to home. There it is again, she muttered as she focused on a strange object near the moon. It wasn't a satellite. It moved too oddly and seemed to change shape. She took several photographs and made careful notes of its position. 50 miles away in the small town of Lakeside, John Carter was finishing his overnight shift at the Meadow Valley Satellite Communication Station. As he ran the routine system check, he noticed something strange. The equipment had recorded brief signal interruptions during the night. Not complete outages, but odd patterns that suggested something was interfering with the transmission. "Hey, Greg," he called to his supervisor. "You might want to look at this." Greg Palmer walked over and studied the readout. "Probably just space junk passing through the signal path. Mark it in the log and send a report to the main office." John nodded but wasn't convinced. Space junk didn't move in such regular patterns. He made a copy of the data before filing his report. Above them both, hiding behind the moon, Dr. Vorax and his team continued their observations of Earth. The incident with the detected drone had made Captain Nix more cautious. "We need better data than what these remote sensors can provide," Dr. Vorax argued during the morning briefing. "I propose sending a small research team to the surface." Captain Nix's expression showed her disapproval. "That would violate our non-contact protocols." "We wouldn't make contact," Dr. Vorax explained. "The team would wear molecular disguises to appear human. They would simply gather more detailed readings and samples." Ilara supported the idea. "Our current data shows inconsistencies we can't explain from orbit. The humans have technology that shouldn't be possible at their development stage." After much debate, Captain Nix reluctantly agreed. 3 days only. Absolute stealth is required. If there's any risk of discovery, abort immediately. That night, a small shuttle left the Celestial Observer and headed toward Earth. It carried Dr. Vorax, Ilara, and 2 security officers named Krell and Zavik. All 4 wore molecular disguises that made them appear as ordinary humans. The shuttle landed in a forested area outside Lakeside and deployed a camouflage shield that made it invisible to human eyes and technology. "Remember, observe only," Dr. Vorax reminded his team as they activated their portable scanners. No interaction with the locals. They moved carefully through the forest, taking readings of the plant and animal life. When they reached the edge of town, they split into pairs. Dr. Vorax and Ilara headed toward the residential area while Krell and Zavik moved toward the industrial section. In town, Sheriff Alan Peterson was having coffee at the local diner when his radio crackled to life. "Sheriff, this is dispatch. We've got Mrs. Dawson calling again about lights in her backyard." Alan sighed. "Tell her I'll swing by after breakfast." Mrs. Dawson called at least once a week about something strange in her yard. Usually it was just neighborhood kids or raccoons. As he finished his coffee, 2 strangers walked past the diner window. Something about them caught his attention. Their clothes were normal enough, but they moved oddly, as if they weren't used to walking. One of them was holding what looked like a cell phone, but kept turning it in different directions. Curious. Alan paid his bill and decided to follow them. Dr. Vorax was fascinated by the human settlement. Everything was so inefficient and yet somehow functional. Buildings of different ages and designs stood side by side. Vehicles powered by primitive combustion engines moved along paved roads. "Their energy usage is remarkable," he told Ilara as they walked. "They waste so much and yet continue to advance." "Doctor," Ilara whispered, "I believe we're being followed." Dr. Vorax casually glanced back and saw a human male in a uniform watching them from across the street. "Continue normally. Act as if we belong here." They turned down a side street and quickened their pace slightly. The readings from their scanners were providing valuable data about human technology. They detected wireless communications, electrical systems, and chemical compounds unknown on Xyloria. Meanwhile, at the local high school, science teacher Lisa Morgan was leading her students on a nature walk in the same forest where the alien shuttle had landed. "Today we're collecting mineral samples for our geology project," she explained to the group of teenagers. "Remember to document exactly where you find each sample." As the students spread out to search, Lisa noticed something unusual on the ground. Small patches of soil had been disturbed in a pattern too regular to be natural. Next to one patch was a strange crystalline substance she didn't recognize. She collected a sample in a plastic bag, planning to examine it later under the school's microscope. Back in town, Alan Peterson had lost sight of the two strangers. He returned to his patrol car and drove toward Mrs. Dawson's house. As he passed the industrial park, he noticed another pair of strangers examining the water tower with unusual devices. "Dispatch, this is Sheriff Peterson. Run a check for any government agencies or utility companies scheduled to work in town today." "Copy that, Sheriff. Give me a few minutes." Alan parked his car and approached the two men. "Excuse me, gentlemen. Can I help you with something?" Krell and Zavik turned in surprise. They hadn't noticed the human approaching. "We are checking water quality," Zavik said, using the language module they had prepared based on intercepted broadcasts. "Routine inspection." Alan nodded slowly. "Can I see some ID?" The aliens hesitated. They hadn't prepared for this. Before they could respond, Krell's scanner began emitting a soft beeping sound. "What's that device?" Alan asked, now more suspicious. "Communication equipment," Krell answered. "We must report to our supervisor now. Excuse us." The two aliens walked quickly away. Alan watched them go, then took out his phone and snapped a picture of their retreating figures. That evening, the alien team regrouped at their shuttle. "We need to be more careful," Dr. Vorex told them. That law enforcement officer was too observant. "But the data we've collected is remarkable," Ilara said excitedly. "Look at these readings from their communication devices. They're using quantum principles without even realizing it." Dr. Vorex examined the results. "How is this possible? Their theoretical science shouldn't have reached this level yet." "Perhaps they developed it through trial and error," Krell suggested, "without understanding the underlying principles." "No species advances that way," Dr. Vorex replied. "Scientific progress follows predictable patterns. First theory, then application. These humans seem to be doing both simultaneously in some cases." As they discussed their findings, their sensors detected someone approaching through the forest. Dr. Vorex activated the viewing screen. A human female was walking near their position, examining something in her hand. "It's one of the crystalline fuel cells from our equipment," Zavik said. "It must have fallen during our landing." They watched as Lisa Morgan studied the strange crystal, then carefully placed it in her bag and marked the location on a small handheld device. She looked around as if sensing something unusual, but eventually turned and walked back toward town. "This complicates matters," Dr. Vorex said. "If she analyzes that crystal, she knows it's not from Earth. Should we retrieve it?" Krell asked. "That would mean direct contact," Ilara reminded him. "Against our protocols, Dr. Vorex made a decision. We'll monitor her closely. If she begins to understand what she's found, we may need to intervene." The next morning, Susan Wright arrived at work to find her supervisor waiting for her. "Someone's interested in your moon photos," he said. "Got a call from a government agency?" "Asking for copies." "Which agency?" Susan asked. "They didn't say exactly, just that it was classified research." He handed her a business card with only a phone number. Susan felt a chill. She had sent her photos to a colleague at another university. No one else. How did this mysterious agency even know about them? In his office, Sheriff Alan Peterson was looking at the results of his background check on the strangers. There was no record of any water quality inspection scheduled. No utility workers were supposed to be in town. Who were those people, and what were they really doing in Lakeside? On the moon, Captain Nix reviewed Dr. Vorex's preliminary report with growing concern. These humans were more advanced and more aware than expected. The simple observation mission was becoming increasingly complicated. She began to wonder if the High Council should be informed that Earth might not be the primitive world they had assumed. Lisa Morgan closed the door to her classroom and turned on the microscope. School had ended an hour ago, leaving her alone with the strange crystal she had found in the forest. She placed the sample on the slide and adjusted the focus. What she saw made no sense. The structure was unlike any mineral she had studied before. It seemed to shift and change as she watched. Reorganizing its internal patterns, she took out her phone and recorded a video of the microscope view. Then she carefully placed the crystal in a small container and put it in her bag. Someone needed to see this, but who? The local university might have better equipment, but they would ask questions she couldn't answer. She decided to show Sheriff Peterson first. At the sheriff's office, Alan was spreading photographs across his desk. Pictures of the strangers in town, the unusual readings from the satellite station that John Carter had shared with him, and Susan Wright's moon photographs. He connected them with colored strings, creating a web of related incidents. Something strange was happening in and around Lakeside, and he was determined to figure out what. His phone rang. It was Lisa Morgan. "Alan, I need to show you something," she said, her voice tense. "Can you meet me at the school?" "Actually, I'd like you to come to my office," he replied. "There are some things here you should see, too." In orbit above them, Dr. Vorex and his team had returned to the Celestial Observer. Their brief expedition to Earth's surface had yielded fascinating results, but also raised alarming questions. "Look at these communication intercepts," Ilara said, displaying data on the main screen. "The humans are developing quantum entanglement technology. They call it experimental, but it's already at a functional level." Captain Nix studied the information with growing concern. How is this possible? Their civilization is barely a few thousand years old. Such technology should be beyond them. "And this," Dr. Varex added, bringing up another display. "Military communications about something called antimatter containment. They're in the early stages, but the theoretical framework is sound." The captain turned to face him. "Are you suggesting these humans have independently developed concepts that took our civilization millennia to discover?" "The evidence points that way," Dr. Vorex confirmed. "And at an accelerated rate? Look at this historical data we've compiled." He showed a timeline of human technological development. For thousands of years, progress had been slow and steady. Then suddenly, in the last few centuries, advancement had exploded exponentially. "It's as if something changed," Ilara observed. "Some catalyst that altered their developmental trajectory," Dr. Vorex nodded. "I have a theory. It's their cognitive structure. Humans appear to possess an unusual capacity for both analytical and intuitive thinking. They make creative leaps that bypass traditional developmental stages." "Is that unusual?" asked one of the junior scientists. "Extremely," Dr. Vorex replied. "Most species follow predictable patterns of advancement. Humans seem capable of sudden insights that accelerate their progress dramatically." Captain Nix paced the deck. "The High Council must be informed. If these humans continue to advance at this rate, they could become a significant force in this sector within a few generations." "There's more," Ilara said quietly. "I've been monitoring the humans from Lakeside. The one called Lisa Morgan has found one of our power crystals, and the law enforcement officer, Alan Peterson, has been collecting evidence of our presence." The captain stopped pacing. "This mission is becoming compromised. We should withdraw immediately." "But we've barely begun to understand them," Dr. Vorex protested. "This is the most significant discovery in Xylorian xenobiology in centuries." Before the captain could respond, a communication alert sounded. The face of Admiral Exorix, head of the Xylorian High Command, appeared on the main screen. "Captain Nix, your preliminary reports have caused considerable concern," the Admiral said without preamble. "The High Council has classified Earth as a potential threat. You are ordered to cease all observation activities and return to Xyloria immediately." After the transmission ended, the command deck was silent. Captain Nix turned to Dr. Vorex. "You have 6 hours to complete your research and prepare for departure," she said firmly. "No further surface expeditions are authorized." When she had gone, Ilara approached Dr. Vorex. 6 hours isn't enough time. We've only scratched the surface of understanding these humans." Dr. Vorex was quiet for a moment. Then he looked at her, with determination in all 4 of his eyes. "The captain forbade surface expeditions. She said nothing about direct communication, Ilara gasped. You can't be serious. Direct contact with an unvetted species violates every protocol. Sometimes. Progress requires taking risks, Dr. Vorex replied. Prepare the shuttle. We're going back to Lakeside one last time. Back on Earth, Lisa Morgan arrived at the sheriff's office. Alan showed her the evidence he had collected. So you've noticed it too, she said, relief evident in her voice. I was beginning to think I was imagining things. She took out the container with the crystal. Look at this. Alan examined the strange object. What is it? I don't know, Lisa admitted, but it's not from around here. The molecular structure is unlike anything I've ever seen. It seems to generate its own energy. They were interrupted by John Carter, who burst into the office without knocking. Sheriff, you need to see this, he said breathlessly, holding up his phone. The satellite station just recorded a massive energy spike above town. Something's up there, and it's big. Alan looked from John to Lisa, then back to his evidence board. I think it's time to make some calls. Whatever's happening here is beyond Lakeside. Before he could reach for his phone, the lights in the office flickered and went out. The computer screens died. Even their phones stopped working? Power outage? Lisa suggested. John shook his head. My phone's battery was full. This is something else. A soft humming sound came from outside. The three of them moved to the window. In the street below, the two strangers Alan had followed earlier were standing perfectly still. They appeared to be waiting. Those are the ones I told you about, Alan whispered. The ones pretending to check the water quality. As they watched, the strangers' appearances began to change. Their skin shimmered and shifted. Their features rearranged themselves. In moments, they no longer looked human at all. Their bodies were taller and thinner, with grayish-purple skin and large, multifaceted eyes. Oh my God, Lisa breathed. They're not human. I think they want us to come outside, John said, pointing to one of the creatures who was gesturing toward them. Alan reached for his gun, then hesitated. The beings didn't appear threatening. They were simply waiting. What do we do? Lisa asked. Alan took a deep breath. We go talk to them. But first I'm calling for backup. He reached for the landline phone on his desk, only to find it dead as well. On second thought, we stick together and stay alert. They made their way downstairs and out onto the street. A small crowd of townspeople had gathered, staring in shock at the alien visitors. Dr. Vorex observed the humans approaching. He had deactivated the molecular disguises, revealing his true Xylorian form. It was a calculated risk, but he needed honest communication in the limited time available. Greetings, he said, using the language module to translate. I am Dr. Vorex of the Xylorian Science Academy. We mean no harm, Alan stepped forward. I'm Sheriff Alan Peterson. What are you doing in my town? We came to study your world, Dr. Vorex explained, to observe your civilization. We did not intend to interfere. Lisa moved closer, her scientific curiosity overcoming her fear. You're from another planet? Another star system? Yes, Dr. Vorex confirmed. From a world much older than Earth, we have been studying developing civilizations throughout this galaxy for many generations. Why reveal yourselves now? Alan asked. Suspiciously, Dr. Vorex looked at Ilara, then back to the humans. Because we made a discovery. A discovery that has alarmed our leaders. A discovery about your species that changes everything we thought we knew about intelligent life. More people were gathering now. Someone in the crowd had a camera and was recording. Dr. Vorex knew that containment was no longer possible. The humans would know they were not alone in the universe. The only question was what they would do with that knowledge. What discovery? Lisa asked. What did you find out about us? Dr. Vorex hesitated. Captain Nix would be furious when she learned of this breach. The High Council might even bring charges against him. But the pursuit of knowledge was the highest calling for a Xylorian scientist. And these humans deserve to know the truth about themselves. You are unique, he said simply. In all our explorations, we have never encountered a species quite like yours. The crowd around Dr. Vorex and the humans grew larger as word spread through Lakeside. People kept their distance but watched with a mixture of fear and fascination. Some held up phones to record the aliens. Others whispered to each other in shocked voices. A few had run away to hide in their homes. "What do you mean we're unique?" Lisa asked. Her scientific mind was already racing with possibilities. "Are we the only intelligent life you found?" Dr. Vorex made a gesture that might have been a smile. "No, there are many intelligent species in this galaxy, some much older than humanity, some much more technologically advanced, but none quite like you." Sheriff Allen remained cautious. "That doesn't answer my question. Why reveal yourselves now? What's changed?" Ilara stepped forward. "Our mission was meant to be observational only. We were not supposed to make contact. Dr. Vorex has broken our protocols by revealing our presence to you. Because time is short," Dr. Vorex explained. "Our ship has been ordered to leave your solar system. Our leaders consider your world potentially dangerous." This statement caused murmurs among the crowd. Allen raised his hands to quiet them. "Dangerous? U.S.? You're the ones with spaceships, and who knows what kind of weapons. Double quotes. Dr. Vorex activated a small device on his wrist. A holographic display appeared in the air between them, showing a timeline of human history. "This is your civilization's development," he explained. "Notice the pattern." The display showed a slow, steady progression for thousands of years, then a sudden, dramatic upward curve in recent centuries. "Most species follow predictable patterns of advancement," Dr. Vorex continued. "They develop agriculture, then basic machines, then more complex technology. Each stage takes thousands of years. But humans move from simple tools to space exploration in a mere blink of cosmic time." Lisa studied the display with growing understanding. "You're saying we're developing too quickly?" Precisely," Dr. Vorex confirmed. "Your rate of technological advancement is unprecedented in our records. In just the last century, you've progressed from basic flight to sending probes beyond your solar system, from simple radio to quantum communication experiments." John Carter stepped closer, fascinated by the hologram. "Is that why you were monitoring our satellite station? You picked up our quantum experiments?" "Yes," Ilara answered. "Your scientists are working with principles that took our civilization millennia to discover. Yet you seem to grasp them intuitively." A new voice called from the back of the crowd. "Everyone step away from the aliens." A group of military vehicles had arrived at the edge of town. Soldiers in combat gear were taking up positions, weapons ready. A man in a formal uniform approached, flanked by armed guards. "I'm General Frank Wilson, United States Army. This area is now under military control. All civilians are ordered to return to their homes immediately." The crowd hesitated but began to disperse under the stern gaze of the soldiers. Allen stepped toward the general. "Sir, we were just beginning a peaceful conversation. These visitors haven't shown any hostile intent." General Wilson ignored him, focusing instead on the aliens. "You two will come with us for questioning. Your ship and any technology will be surrendered to the United States government." Dr. Vorex turned to Ilara and spoke quickly in their native language. She nodded and touched a control on her wrist device. A shimmering field of energy appeared around the two aliens. "We cannot comply with your demands," Dr. Vorex told the general. "We mean no harm to your world, but we will not surrender our technology. It would be dangerous in your current stage of development." The general's face hardened. "That's not a request. If you resist, we will use force." "Frank, think about what you're doing," Allen urged. "This is first contact with an alien civilization. Do you really want it to turn violent?" "Stay out of this, Allen," the general replied without looking at him. "This is now a matter of national security." Dr. Vorex observed the interaction with interest. Even in this tense moment, he was still studying human behavior. The conflict between the local authority and the military representative showed the complex power structures of human society. "General Wilson," he said calmly, Your weapons cannot penetrate this defensive field, and my ship can leave your atmosphere before your aircraft could reach it. There is no tactical advantage in threatening. The U.S., the general seemed unimpressed. We've been tracking your vessel since it entered our solar system. Did you think our satellites wouldn't notice something that size approaching Earth? We've had contingency plans for this scenario for decades. This revelation surprised Dr. Vorex. The humans' detection capabilities were more advanced than they had realized. He exchanged a concerned look with ELARA. At the moment, his communication device activated. Captain Nix's voice came through, translated into English so all could hear. Dr. Vorex, you have violated direct orders. Return to the ship immediately. The High Command has classified Earth as a Class 5 hazardous world. All contact is forbidden. The general smiled slightly. Sounds like your superiors and mine are in agreement. This meeting is over. Dr. Vorex faced a difficult decision. His scientific curiosity urged him to stay, to learn more about these fascinating humans. But Captain Nix was right about one thing. The situation was becoming dangerous. Lisa stepped forward, addressing both the aliens and the general. Please, this doesn't have to end like this. We could learn so much from each other. General Wilson, think of the scientific advances that could come from peaceful exchange. The general's expression didn't change. That's not my decision to make. My orders are to secure these aliens and any technology they possess. And those orders come from where exactly? Alan asked. Has the president authorized this? Does Congress know? Or is some secret government agency making decisions that affect the entire world? While they argued, Alara was scanning the military vehicles with a small device. She whispered. To Dr. Vorex, they have some kind of energy weapon. Primitive but potentially damaging to our shuttle. The tension in the air was palpable. Soldiers had their weapons trained on the aliens despite the energy shield. The general was speaking. Quietly into a radio, presumably calling for reinforcements. Dr. Vorex made his decision. We will depart now, he announced. But first, I wish to share something with you. He looked directly at Lisa and Alan. Your species has something rare and precious. A cognitive architecture that allows for intuitive leaps, for creative thinking, that transcends linear development. It makes you unpredictable, yes, and potentially dangerous. But it also makes you uniquely suited to solve problems that other species cannot. Is that why your leaders fear us? Lisa asked. Because we think differently? They fear what you might become, Dr. Vorex replied honestly. In a few hundred years, at your current rate of advancement, you could surpass civilizations that have existed for millennia. The general had heard enough. Secure those aliens, he ordered. Soldiers began to move forward cautiously. Ilara activated another control on her wrist device. A bright light enveloped the two aliens. When it faded, they were gone. Track them! The general shouted, Get me their location! Up in orbit, Dr. Vorex and Ilara materialized on the transport pad of the Celestial Observer. Captain Nix was waiting for them, her expression severe. You have jeopardized our entire mission, she said coldly. The High Command is furious. We are to leave immediately and submit to a full inquiry upon our return. Captain, we've made a discovery of unprecedented importance, Dr. Vorex argued. The humans possess a cognitive structure unlike any we've encountered. Their capacity for innovation, for intuitive understanding of complex principles is extraordinary. All the more reason to maintain our distance, the captain replied. The High Command has designated Earth a crucible world. Do you understand what that means? Dr. Vorex felt a chill run through his body. Crucible worlds were rare planets where evolution took unusual paths, producing species with unpredictable traits. Such worlds were considered both valuable for study and potentially dangerous. We can't just leave, Ilara protested. Not now, there's too much to learn. The decision has been made, Captain Nix said firmly. Prepare for departure. As the Celestial Observer broke orbit and moved away from Earth, Dr. Vorex stood at the observation window, watching the blue planet recede. The humans would continue their rapid advancement, unaware of how unusual they were in the cosmic order. Unless, of course, General Wilson and his military forces managed to capture their shuttle and study its technology. That could accelerate human development even further. On Earth, in the small town of Lakeside, Sheriff Alan Peterson and Lisa Morgan watched military personnel establish a perimeter around the area where the aliens had stood. Teams with strange equipment were taking readings and collecting samples. General Wilson was issuing orders, his face grim with determination. "This isn't over," Lisa said quietly. "They'll be back or others will come. We're not alone in the universe, Alan. Everything changes now." Alan nodded, looking up at the night sky. "I wonder what they meant about us being unique. What makes humans so different from other intelligent life?" "I don't know," Lisa replied. "But I think we're going to find out." 3 days after the aliens disappeared, Lakeside was no longer a quiet small town. Military vehicles lined the main street. Scientists in hazmat suits collected samples from where the aliens had stood. News vans crowded the parking lot of the local motel. Tourists and UFO enthusiasts gathered at the edge of town, hoping to catch a glimpse of something extraordinary. In a temporary command center set up in the town hall, General Wilson was not in a good mood. The aliens had vanished without a trace. Their ship had left orbit before fighter jets could intercept it. All he had were some readings, soil samples, and dozens of civilian witnesses with cell phone videos that were already spreading across the internet. "Sir, we have a problem," a young officer reported. "We can't contain the footage. It's gone viral." "Over 50 million views already?" The general nodded grimly. "Get me the president on the secure line. We need to prepare a statement." Across town, in a small conference room at the Lakeside Inn, Alan Peterson and Lisa Morgan sat with Susan Wright and John Carter. They had been interviewed repeatedly by military intelligence, FBI agents, and government scientists. Now they were meeting on their own, trying to make sense of what had happened. "They're keeping something from us," John said. "The military knew about these aliens before they arrived in Lakeside." The general as much as admitted it. Susan nodded. "My observatory director told me that several government agencies have been quietly tracking unusual objects near Earth for years. They just never made it public." Lisa placed the strange crystal on the table. Somehow, in all the confusion, the military had overlooked it. "This is alien technology. Dr. Vorex called it a power source. Imagine what we could learn from studying it." Alan looked uncomfortable. "Should we really be hiding evidence? That could be considered obstruction." "They're not being honest with us," Lisa argued. "They're treating this like a security threat instead of the most important scientific discovery in human history. Dr. Vorex wanted to share knowledge with us. I don't think General Wilson has the same goal." Before anyone could respond, there was a sharp knock at the door. Alan opened it to find 2 men in dark suits. "Sheriff Peterson?" "I'm Agent Paul Harris, National Security Council. This is Dr. Eric Bennett from Advanced Research Projects. We need to speak with all of you, now." The agents entered and closed the door behind them. Dr. Bennett spotted the crystal on the table and his eyes widened. "Where did you get that?" he asked, his voice tense. Lisa hesitated before answering. "I found it in the forest before the aliens revealed themselves. It's some kind of energy source." Agent Harris looked at Dr. Bennett, who nodded slightly. "We need all of you to come with us to Washington," Harris said. "The president wants to meet with you personally." On the Celestial Observer, now far beyond Earth's solar system, Dr. Vorex faced the ship's council. Captain Nix had charged him with violating mission protocols by making direct contact with humans. "You endangered our entire crew," she said firmly, "and potentially exposed our civilization to a volatile species." "With respect, Captain," Dr. Vorex replied, "the humans already knew of our presence. Their detection technology was more advanced than we anticipated, and the knowledge we gained was worth the risk." Ilara stood beside him. "The data we collected on human cognitive processes is revolutionary. Their neural pathways show a unique integration of analytical and intuitive functions. They can make conceptual leaps that our species cannot." The science officer, Dr. Threll, looked intrigued. Is that why they've advanced so rapidly? Precisely, Dr. Vorex confirmed. Most intelligent species develop in a linear fashion, building knowledge systematically over thousands of generations. Humans seem capable of intuitive insights that bypass multiple developmental stages. Captain Nix remained unconvinced. The High Council has classified Earth as a crucible world. All further contact is forbidden without special authorization. Dr. Vorex nodded. I accept that decision. But I request permission to present my findings to the Science Academy when we return. The humans represent a new understanding of cognitive evolution that could benefit all Xylorian research. After a moment of consideration, Captain Nix agreed. Permission granted, but no mention of direct contact. As far as official records are concerned, our observations were made remotely. Later, in his private laboratory, Dr. Vorex and Ilara reviewed their data on human development. Look at this, Ilara said, pointing to a neural model on the screen. Their brains form connections between seemingly unrelated concepts. They see patterns where other species see only chaos. It explains their art, their music, their literature, Dr. Vorex mused. They create meaning through metaphor and symbolism, in ways our people cannot fully comprehend. Do you think the High Council is right to fear them? Ilara asked. Dr. Vorex considered the question carefully. They are unpredictable, and they advance quickly. In a few centuries they could develop technology that took us millennia to achieve. But fear is not the right response. We should study them, learn from them, perhaps even one day collaborate with them. The general's reaction suggests they might not be ready for that, Ilara pointed out. Some weren't, Dr. Vorex agreed. But others, like the scientist Lisa Morgan, showed remarkable openness. Humans are not monolithic. They contain diversity of thought that adds to their adaptability. On Earth, 6 months later, a secret facility had been established in a remote desert location. Behind layers of security, a team of the world's top scientists worked to understand the alien technology and information gathered from the Lakeside incident. Lisa Morgan was now part of that team. After meeting with government officials, she had been recruited to lead a new xenobiology department. Her expertise in both biology and education made her uniquely qualified to understand how different species might think and learn. In her private office, she studied the alien crystal under a specialized microscope. The military had eventually taken her original sample, but not before she had extracted a small fragment and hidden it. That tiny piece had been enough to begin understanding the remarkable technology. The door opened and Alan Peterson walked in. After the incident, he had left his job as sheriff to join the new security team at the facility. His experience with the aliens and his level-headed approach during the confrontation had impressed the right people. How's it going? He asked, looking at her complex equipment. Amazing, Lisa replied. This crystal stores energy in a quantum state. It's like nothing we've ever developed. But the strange thing is, once I understood the basic principle, it seemed almost obvious. Like we were heading in this direction anyway, just taking a longer route. Alan nodded. That's what Dr. Vorex was trying to tell us. Humans have this ability to make intuitive leaps, to see solutions that might take other species generations of methodical work. I've been thinking about what he said about us being a crucible world, Lisa said. In metallurgy, a crucible is where metals are melted and transformed. Maybe Earth is where life evolved under unique pressures that created something different. Different enough to worry an advanced alien civilization, Alan added. A knock at the door interrupted them. Dr. Eric Bennett entered, looking excited. We've decrypted more of the data from the alien shuttle, he announced. They left it behind. When they transported back to their main ship, there's something you both need to see. They followed him to the main laboratory where a large screen displayed what appeared to be a galactic map. Thousands of stars were visible, with a few hundred highlighted in different colors. This is a map of life-bearing worlds in our section of the galaxy, Dr. Bennett explained. The blue ones have primitive life. The green ones have advanced ecosystems but no intelligent species. The yellow ones have early-stage civilizations. And the red ones have spacefaring civilizations. There are so many, Lisa whispered, awed by the implications. But look at this, Dr. Bennett continued, pointing to a single star marked in purple. That's our sun. Earth is the only planet marked with this color in their entire database. What does purple signify? Alan asked. According to the translation, it means crucible world, a planet where evolution took an unusual path. There are notes attached to our entry. Something about our planet's high biodiversity, extreme climate variations, and unusual planetary protection from our moon and magnetic field creating unique evolutionary pressures. Lisa studied the map thoughtfully. So we're not just different, we're unique. Apparently so, Dr. Bennett confirmed. And there's more. The aliens have been observing Earth for centuries, watching our development. Their records show that we've advanced technologically faster than any other known species. What took other civilizations 50,000 years, we've done in 5,000. Is that why they left? Alan asked. They were afraid of us? Not exactly afraid, Dr. Bennett replied, more like cautious. Their reports describe humans as unpredictably innovative and cognitively adaptive, in ways they don't fully understand. Lisa smiled slightly. So that's the truth they discovered. They came to study what they thought was just another developing world and found something they'd never seen before. And now we know it too, Alan said. The question is, what do we do with that knowledge? Lisa looked back at the galactic map.